When I start shooting, all y'all gonna clear out.
There's a couple of things that I want to talk about in today's video. It's going to be spanning across 3 different games. We have some Tekken stuff, some Virtual Fighter stuff, and some Marvel's Rivals stuff. This is going to be kind of a common thing where I talk about Marvel's Rivals and especially Virtual Fighter. Anything that catches my eye or I see, I'm definitely going to have an opinion on, just like I do for Tekken. So starting off with these Marvel Rival leaks, you have 2 characters who are seeming to be coming next. And the Marvel franchise has so many amazing characters and the base roster is already amazing, but when they add in some of their DLC characters, I wonder how they're going to do it. I wonder how they're going to change up the gameplay to make it something different, to make it something unique. One will also have a price tag attached to it. Another thing is, I wonder when these characters will drop, right? I've been hearing whispers and rumors about all of these characters, and it's evolving, but we still don't have like a date yet. We still don't have anything from the developers yet. And then the last thing is, I wonder how strong will it be? With Tekken 7, we'll talk about Clive and how powerful he is and a couple other things, but will Marvel's Rivals do that? Where their, DLC characters is super OP and they're pay to win and yada, 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 yada. I don't know. But the 2 characters that they have here is one is Human Torch from the Fantastic Four. This character looks pretty cool and it makes you wonder when will the next members of the Fantastic Four show up, right? And then also you could talk about Doctor Doom. Everyone wants him. But Fantastic Four. His difficulty is a 3, and his abilities are he unleashes the shockwave to deal damage to enemies within range. During skill activation, the flame field will transform into a flame tornado. Okay. And then he has Plasma Body. You hold L shift to enter a state of accelerated ascent, so he could fly. Pyro Prison. Connect flame fields to form a firewall that deals burning damage to enemies. Okay. Dive towards the ground and stun nearby enemies. He seems like a kind of character who's going to be going up and down, and when he comes down, he's going to come down with force, and he's also going to come down and control the field, right? This is probably a good character to like dunk on, like a support character, a Jeff or a Rocket or something like that. For the character Ultron. Ultron, his abilities is summon ultra drones to fire. Bro, okay, speaking of drones, they gotta nerf that what's her name? Spider Girl? I can't remember her name. The Spider Girl in the massive robot. Her drones is super OP. Holy smokes. I just had Vietnam flashbacks to that. Let's keep going. Damaging enemies or healing allies. Wait, is he going to be a support? He might be a support. Dynamic flight. Fly quickly in a direction of movement, then enter a free flight mode. Imperative patch. Command a giant drone to follow an ally, constantly healing allies in its radius, with additional healing for the designated ally. So will this guy be the first, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he will be the first support player who can fly around. I don't think there's any support players who fly, so he'll be the first, and also he will use a lot of drones and stuff to heal allies. One thing that I'm noticing about this game is that you have characters like Iron Man and whatnot who could just fly up in the sky and just like kind of hit everyone, and you really have to like turn all your attention to like getting him out of the sky. And we don't really have like tanks who can fly on his ability or supports who can fly on his ability. So when they add more characters in the game who can fly, like you would have to wonder how this game is going to change in like a aerial sense. The majority of the fighting happened on the ground, but as time goes on, will it happen in the sky? I don't know. That's interesting. You also have these lists of things that they talked about in the Dev Talk 9. They broke down in detail what they were going to be doing for their Battle Pass. We all are pretty familiar with how these things operate, so you guys can pause and read the details if you want to, but I'll move on and start talking about Tekken. This game released its newest character, Clive, probably about a week ago, maybe, yeah, a week ago, right? At first, everyone was really loving the character. Everyone was having a blast, right? But now that more time has passed, you're starting to see a lot more people talk about the balancing of this guy. And I knew the balancing was going to be like so chaotic, but the way that they did it is very interesting. His range and his ability to control the spacing is so incredible. This guy just completely dominates the area. There's a lot of things that he do and he can do, and your character can't even like be in range to hit him. Like he has all the abilities to do anything and everything to you, but you can't even get close to him. Like you still have to take like another step or two to get in range of him. And I wonder How will they tone that aspect down? But then also his damage. He get a lot of unscaled damage on his strings, like 332 and stuff like that. I wonder how long will it take to nerf him? And then two, how significant will the nerfs be? Because if we go back to Tekken 7, you had characters like Leroy Smith and Fakramam who were super busted when they released into the game. And the developers knew that they were going to be busted. There's a screenshot where they had patch nerfs for Leroy Smith before the character was released. So they knew he was going to be broken before release, right? And you would have to imagine they were still doing a lot of that stuff with Lydia, Kunimitsu, and even Clive. So they probably know how powerful this character is, but how long will we have to wait till those nerfs get put into the game? In the meantime, a lot of people are starting to consider this guy A tier, some people S tier. I'm hearing people say that he's like top 5 in the whole game. Me personally, I am still like learning the Clive matchup. I've been playing a lot of Marvel's Rivals and other games, so I haven't really been like mastering the Clive matchup. I'm really just looking at what everyone's saying across the Twitter and Reddits and whatnot, right? Like you see Speed Kicks. Speed Kick says, okay, a week's long enough. Where are the Clive nerfs? Another person says, all the people putting Tekken on hold until season 2, give Melee a try. Now, obviously, everyone laughed at that, but this is true. A lot of people are putting Tekken on hold until season 2, and I wonder, how will the balance of that work? How will this game balance the game in a way that the players want and satisfy everyone? Like Clive is adding to the problems that was already frustrating. You have range, you have tracking. I know his tracking isn't considered good, but it's still like the Tekken 8 track. It's tracking 8, right? So it's still a lot of stuff that the players aren't happy with. And now there's like real things that players can go and do otherwise, like Marvel's Rivals and other games, right? So they have serious competition. And I don't want to see this game tank a bunch of players soon after they release their guest character, because guest characters are said to be things that help Tekken 7. And if it isn't helping Tekken 8, then what can? But also, fear not, the developers are coming prepared. They're releasing a bunch of stuff on Twitter that you can buy, from stuffed animals to t-shirts to watches, and also posters you can hang on your wall. Their priorities definitely is in check. This update was very chaotic. They added Clive, which is one of the strongest characters in the game, and then they also added the disconnection loss points, and that is screwing over so many players. At first it was people who was disconnecting because of connectivity issues. In my opinion, like, you should be docked for that. If you're in an online environment and your connection is ruining the game for you and everyone else, then you should be punished for that. But then what we saw is people who the game can't identify who is plugging, so they're docking both players. That is unacceptable. And the fact that the developers haven't acknowledged that sooner, I feel like enough pressure hasn't been put on those guys, but also they kind of ignored it like they always do. I feel like those guys should have been held to the fire, and they should have had a tweet out saying, we apologize for this, we are aware that this is happening, and we're working on a patch. No, nothing from them. That is what the players is just sick of. Like, you have these things that's going on in the game, and players are kind of feeling like gaslit. Like, come on, developers, like, where is, one, the response, and two, the patch? But lastly, we'll talk about Virtual Fighter. Their Virtual Fighter 5 Revo beta recently ended, and players was really loving it, right? But also, while I say that, there's a lot of people who are talking about how the gameplay is being changed and simplified. The one thing that people were really highlighting the most is the stagger. The stagger is something that's just upsetting a lot of people, and they feel like it's kind of distracting from the real gameplay.
I want to play basketball, but I don't want to practice dribbling, shooting, doing layups, defending, any fundamentals, basically. I don't want to practice anything. By the way, this game sucks. Change the ball.
And with the way that Tekken 8 is going, this game, if they play their cards right, they can steal a lot of that player base, because there's a lot of fighting game players who's walking around looking for a home, and this game releasing could be a home. But at the same time, Revo and also Virtua Fighter 6, those games is like far down the road, and we don't know where they are.